I'm also delighted to see so many nieces and nephews and some of my children's friends. I want to thank them for the huge online support they've given me. I'm not on Facebook myself, but my family made sure I saw all the comments. We have one very special person, the only remaining one from my parents' generation who can be here. My Auntie Kathleen from my mother's home in Calavel, County Sligo. Stand up, Kathleen. She's an even bigger Daniel O'Donnell fan than I am. And we're both glued to Strictly. And I just brought Daniel along. She's not the only one, however, who has come a great distance. Thank you to all national and international travellers. It will be a very full and busy day, and it's very exciting for me. I'm conscious that many of you don't know each other yet, but I hope that you can approach anyone in the group and find the openness and gentleness of real friendship. As you know, I'm assigning all proceeds from this book to the Irish Cancer Society in acknowledgement for the wonderful work they do supporting people like me and their families. I have mentioned in the book that two of my cousins, Marita and Nuala, have done parachute jumps in the past to raise funds for this cause. Now, I didn't mention that my sister Anne and her friend Marion have also raised funds in a slightly more risque manner. They were two of the unabashed group of ladies who were part of the Dip in the Nip Brigade early one Sunday morning a few years ago on Dunmoran Strand in Sligo. I didn't mention them in the book because I didn't want to embarrass them. Thankfully, they're fully clad here today. A writer called Christopher Hitchens said, "Everybody does have a book in them, but in most cases, that's where it should stay." I'm going to read an excerpt, and you can decide whether I should have stayed silent, but don't tell me your decision. Just to give you the background to this piece, my mother died in the spring of 1967, and this was our first Christmas without her. I was 12, Peter was 11, Liam was 9, and Anne was 5. I was excited. It was my first time in charge of preparing for Christmas. In the autumn after Mammy had died, Granny had moved to her daughter, Auntie Anne's house, as she was almost totally blind and Daddy could not mind all of us. I felt important being the new woman of the house. I liked being in charge. Mammy always made trifle for the Christmas Day dessert. I couldn't wait to make it. I took her cut glass bowl from the sitting room cabinet 5 days before Christmas and gathered the ingredients. I broke half a sponge cake in pieces and soaked it in lime jelly. I sliced 3 bananas and opened a can of peaches, spreading them in layers on top of the lime mixture. I repeated the sponge process using strawberry jelly this time, spread it over the fruit, and there it was, ready for the big day. I placed the bowl carefully back in the cabinet. After Mass on Christmas morning, I decided to make soup. I boiled the turkey neck and giblets. An hour later, I removed them from the stock. I added corn flour, salt and pepper. I felt the soup looked very pale. I rooted in the cupboard and found a bottle of Browning. I had never seen it being used before, but I thought it would improve the look of the soup. The boys didn't complain as they ate the soup. After our turkey dinner, I took the trifle from the cabinet. I was horrified. A thick growth of mould covered it. The ingredients had been expensive, and we did not waste food. There was only one option. I skimmed off the mould with a spoon and served the trifle with custard. I didn't mention the mould, and the trifle was eaten with relish. Afterwards, I washed the dishes. I took extra care of Mammy's precious bowl. I placed it on the table, boiled a kettle of water, and poured it in to scald the germs and to kill them. I heard a crack, but I continued to pour. It was only when water leaked onto the table that I knew what had happened. Daddy said I was doing my best, and he got rid of the pieces of glass. All through the night, the family queued outside the bathroom door. Daddy said it must have been the soup, as Anne didn't have any, and she was the only one who didn't have the runs. I wasn't as sure, as I didn't have soup either. Cover of my book. On the front, there's a robin. The photo was taken in Glendalough by Katie. The robin represents my love of birds and everything beautiful in nature. And Glendalough is a very spiritual, nature-filled place. Ben Bulben is also on the cover. Ben Bulben is the iconic image for Sligo. I'm very proud of my native county. Sligo is also Yates County, and Yates has had a significant influence on my life. And of course, he's buried under Bear Ben Bulben's head. We don't believe the vicious rumours that an interloper lies there instead. Now, you might think this is a depressing book, since in some ways it's about my journey with cancer. But I think it's more about hope. And having been married to a Mayo man for 32 years, I didn't have to end that. Finally, I want to thank so many people for making this day possible. I've endeavoured to write my thanks in poetry. This day may seem to run with ease, but I've a team of helpers. Listen, please. Some are acknowledged at the end of my book. Before you complete it, please take a look. Thanks, Father John, my spiritual mentor, to Maeve and her team for this parish centre, to John Toomey for guidance with his technical powers, and to Teresa for tea lights and arranging the flowers. The Sligo champion from my native place, and Jessica Farry, who wrote with such grace. For my first broadcast on Spirit FM, when Wendy questioned, I answered with vim. Silver-tongued Colin Brennan calmed my terror with his eloquent article in the Daily Mirror. Ocean FM's Niall and Tommy Marn let me chat on air to tell my yarn. Southside People and Ireland's Eye, so much exposure I was on quite a high. My washers and greeters, I could not name all. Thanks to each one who answered my call. I salute all the Munleys. I have truly been blessed. When it comes to in-laws, they are simply the best. A party lies ready, so many came laden. For the gift of such food, thanks to each comely maiden. Well, were there some guys were big? Coordinating it all are Margaret and Mary. And now it is time to dine and make merry. Ellen is going to be my sales lady with Rosie and Margaret helping out, and Donal. And so the books will be up here, and I'm going to stand here, and if anybody wants anything signed. Thank you very much.